Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be continuing with If Naruto was a Vampire. But before we get into the video, I would please remind you all to leave a like and subscribe. We are so close to hitting 2,000. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right into the video. So, as Hiruzen says he has a plan, an honorable member appears next to Hiruzen, telling Hiruzen that everyone that Kakashi just mentioned has been gathered and put inside of the arena. And Kakashi was like, "What arena?" And Hiruzen was like, "We have some business to attend to." So Hiruzen takes everybody, including Katie, to go to the arena. And as they're on their way there, Hiruzen is asking Katie all types of weird questions like, where did she come from? Who are her parents? What jutsu does she specialize in? How many of her are there? Like, basically, like asking her, does she have any siblings? And Hiruzen stopped crying after he asked her, did she have any siblings? And her brother died. So, yeah, he kind of stopped asking after that because he didn't want to dig up and open. He didn't want to peel off a scab of a wound that barely is healed anyway. So, and when they get to the arena, Kakashi was like, "Why have I never seen this place before?" And Hiruzen was like, "Oh, it's simple. It's because you never had a reason to come here." And they look down into the arena and they see everybody. Like, they see Gara, they see Sasuke, they see Hinata, they see Rock Lee, they see like a whole bunch of people. And Naruto, when the Kage told them the rules and how they're supposed to be fighting, basically telling them that this is a battle royale, meaning that they can double team, triple team, whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, one of them has to come out of this alive. Or, if they don't die, they have to surrender. Like, you have to get that person to surrender. And Hinata already knew who was gonna win, so she didn't necessarily care because she knew if she didn't do what Naruto told her, she probably was gonna get knocked out anyway because Naruto knows sleeping spells. But so, like, when the guy says begin, Naruto's just standing there, and Hinata runs toward Gara. Lee runs towards Sasuke, and Sasuke and Lee actually had a pretty decent fight because Sasuke has been training a lot, so he was able to keep up with the first, like, the Gate of Limits. Well, not Gate of Limits. I would say weight, like, with no weights. Gara, he was able to keep up with him with the second Tomoe. Or should I say, yeah, I'm gonna just say second Tomoe. And Naruto's just watching this, and eventually Hinata gets Neji out, and then she gives up, which leads to her leaving the arena. And everyone's confused because everyone knows that Hinata is far stronger than what she's letting on. You can see it in the way that she walks around and carries herself now, which is weird. And Naruto is just standing there with his hands in his pockets, and the Raikage was like, "Hey, boy!" And Naruto looks up at him, and the Raikage was like, "What's wrong? Your power isn't as good as you think it is." And Naruto looks like tells him like, "No, it's just I'm waiting for a specific person to come and fight me." And when Naruto turns back around, there's a almost like there's a beaten and bruised Sasuke walking toward him. And Naruto's like, "Ah, see, we can't have that." And Sasuke was like, "We can't have what?" And Naruto was like, "Yeah, see, we're friends and all, but I have to win this, and you're kinda in the way, and you weren't the person I was supposed to be fighting." Sadly enough, she gave up. And Sasuke like realized that he was talking about Hinata, and now he's like questioning why exactly did Hinata give up. So Naruto just shot like hit him with an earth like with the rock basically, and he Sasuke because he just finished fighting Lee Long. Like, yeah, he's already fucked up, so he basically just got hit with the rock and fell. And Naruto was declared the winner, but a lot of people didn't like the fact that Naruto was declared the winner. A lot of the villages didn't. The Mist Village didn't, especially the Cloud Village. And the Stone Village knew that what Naruto did was kind of underhanded, knowing the fact that he knows he knew most of the people that was in that fight. But even if that was the case, even if what he did was underhanded, he still won in the end. And they didn't have any strong people from their village to fight in this battle anyway. So as everyone's leaving, Gara begins to get angry at the fact that he lost, and like in the middle of the field, everyone starts to sense like Shikaku's presence, and just out from nowhere comes a half-turned Gara jumping at the crowd, which prompts Naruto to kick Gara away. And then Orochimaru appears down inside of the arena, and Hiruzen, along with Kakashi, begin like they jump down into the arena to see if they can do something about Orochimaru. Now Orochimaru already knowing that if the rest of the Kage see him, he's dead, because they're not gonna let him leave if they can catch him, because all the Kage are there. So he better came here to do what he needed to do. So he finds Sasuke and he grabs him, and Naruto at that point, by the time Orochimaru has grabbed Sasuke and got away, Naruto has already pinned down and defeated Gaara. And a lot of people were shocked because they definitely didn't think Naruto was strong enough to just instantly just start beating on a almost fully formed Shikaku, including with Gaara's latent potential and ability. So after the like so after everything that happened and everyone's like regathering their stuff because now the Sand Village has to explain to the other Kage why while their Jinchuriki just tried to go apeshit in another village where the other Kage were. So as the Sand Village is explaining that, Naruto was like, "Hey, there's a bigger problem here," and we cut to Sasuke's perspective, and remember, Sasuke was still passed out on the floor. So when Sasuke wakes up, he's being not dragged, but he's being carried into a cave, and he's obviously weirded out by this. But knowing that Orochimaru, knowing that Sasuke wants to get revenge on Itachi, he bends that to his will and basically tells him that the only way to get stronger was to leave the village, was to abandon his friends that he made. It was to stop being the person that he was just being. It was to be cold and heartless. And Sasuke, knowing the fact that he needed this power to defeat Itachi anyway, he decided to take Orochimaru up on his deal. And Naruto was like, "We're missing someone. Where's Sasuke?" And Hiruzen was like, "What are you talking about? He's right there." And they look over there, and Sasuke is not there. And Kakashi was like, Orochimaru must have grabbed him during all of the commotion. And the other Kage were like, Orochimaru was here, and Hiruzen was like, yeah, he was most likely here to kill me, but he wasn't expecting the rest of the Kage to be here, and he wasn't expecting this type of venue. He was probably expecting this fight to be held in the Tuning's Exams Arena instead of this one. And a lot of people, like the Raikage and the Kazekage, were really confused on why the fact that the Hiruzen isn't tripping out about the fact that Orochimaru just tried to kill him. And like as like they're tripping and like they're talking about it, Naruto walks over there and was like, although yeah, that is a issue, the bigger problem is the fact that we no longer have an Uchiha, our Uchiha, the Hidden Leafs Uchiha. And although that might not sound like an issue for the rest of these villages, but if Orochimaru somehow turns Sasuke to the dark side, per se, he, with his Sharingan, if it ever gets to Mangekyo, or even, you know, you know, the Eternal Mangekyo, he's gonna be able to control Tailed Beast if he's able to unlock the Renegon right after he gets the Eternal. Now, at that point, most of these villages, if he's able to gather control of the tailed beast, most of the villages are going to be destroyed. Starting off with the sand village and probably ending with the leaf. Because Naruto snarks and was like, although I may be a Jinchuriki, I don't use the Nine Tails' power all the time. I use my own. And the Raikage looks at him and was like, for you to be a little kid, you sure are ignorant in your power. And Naruto was like, well, at least I know that I can fight back. Now, given your lightning cloak is a stroke of genius, and you guys, yes, the Hidden Cloud Village is in a league of their own. But the only problem with that is, bruh, I don't use a tailed beast power. I use my own. And although your lightning cloak may be strong, no matter what you do, my power trumps yours, even at the current state that I'm in. And Katie was like, what are you talking about, current state that you're in? And she grabs Naruto off to the side and she was like, have you not been telling me something? And Naruto was like, we can talk about that later. And Hinata was like, no, let's talk about that now. What are you talking about, current state that you're in? And Naruto sighs and opens up a portal and was like, do you mind? And they all walk in, like, those three walk in, and like 15 minutes of silence. And when they come back out the portal, Katie and Hinata are like drying. Like, well, Katie's drying her tears, and Hinata just looks shook. So, like, Hiruzen's questioning what happened to them, basically asking Naruto what did he say or what did he do to upset them. And Naruto was like, nothing. I did nothing to upset them. It's just a circumstance that I need to do. There's certain circumstances that I need to meet, or it could be catastrophic for everyone. And the Raikage was like, why don't you inform us on this? And Naruto was like, well, for the time being, it's none of your concern. I'll do my research on my own. But I'm telling you, when you when your help is needed, you'll know. And the Raikage was like, anyway, I don't have time for this. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go start searching for that Uchiha. And then like Hiruzen was looking at the Raikage, and the Raikage was like, "What?" And Naruto was like, "Oh, no one was expecting the the Raikage to start helping the Leaf." And the Raikage was like, "Well, yeah, if we find them first, we get to keep them." And Naruto laughs and was like, "You know, I can't let that happen." And Raikage was like, "Better yet, if he gets turned to the dark side, like you said, he'll be a threat. So it's best if we prevent him from ever becoming a threat, rather that mean killing him or capturing him before he can become a rogue shinobi." And Naruto was like, "Oh, see, there's a spirit. Now you're acting like a team player." And the Raikage looks back at him, and B was like, "Hey, we should really go and start looking." And Naruto's like, "So you must be the Eight Tails." And B turns around and was like, "Well, for right now, we don't have to exchange any words. I have nothing to say to you. But when the time comes, we can talk." Basically telling Naruto that he doesn't want to talk to him right now. And Naruto looks at him and was like, "Damn, that's the first time someone did not want to try to talk. Like, so that's the first time somebody legitimately shut me down. I don't know how to feel about that." And B and A are walking away, and like by the time like when they leave the arena, they disappear into the trees, and B asks A like, "Are they actually gonna find the Uchiha?" And B was like, A was like, "For right now, we are. But if he so much as think to start taking tailed beasts, we're gonna switch our tactics from capturing to killing." And B was like, "Are you sure that's wise?" And A was like, "Why? You think that little boy can stop us?" And B was like, "No, I don't think he can. I'm just saying there's something strange about him. Even if he couldn't stop us, there's still something going on with him." And A was like, "Well, B, if you want to do your own digging, you can. Let me know if you find anything." And B was like, "Right," and he jumps off into a different direction. And A was like, "Be careful, B." And he starts heading back toward the Cloud Village as B heads back toward the Leaf Village, suppressing his chakra, obviously, to do some reconnaissance on Naruto. But B quickly realizes that doing reconnaissance on someone that does nothing but use portals to get around kinda sucks because he basically leaves no trail unless he's walking. So B finally finding out a way to track Naruto, basically just figuring out what places he appears most out of the day, which is mostly at the training ground and at home and in the Hokage's office. And for some weird reason off into the distance, but B finds no reason to actually go out there, so he hasn't attempted to what's the name? He hasn't attempted to go out and figure out why Naruto's always teleporting over there or walking over there in his pocket dimension and then coming out. Yeah. So B goes back and tell A that Naruto basically uses a pocket dimension type of jutsu to move around, and is why we never see him fight anyone because they're always in his pocket dimension when they're fighting. So if we ever had to fight Naruto, the best way to fight him would be to try to avoid his pocket dimension. And A was like, that's good work. And B was like, listen, even if that may be the case, even if his powers aren't as strong outside of the pocket dimension, we should still be careful. And A was like, B, are you really scared of this kid? And B told A that the Eight Tails has been telling him that he gets a weird vibe from that kid and those two other girls he hangs out with. And A was like, so you haven't been doing any research on them? And B was like, whatever they are, they're really good at hiding it. The only thing is that when they start coming around, you get this really eerie vibe. And A was like, we can't just go to the rest of the Kage with some quote unquote really eerie vibe. B. And B reminds A that he's not a reconnaissance shinobi. This isn't something that he normally does. And A was like, oh, well, yeah, you're right. I should probably get our special ninja on that. Anyway. Um, so do you think that he uses the Nine Tails chakra? And B was like, it's like he said he only uses the Nine Tails chakra when it's necessary, and even then, he doesn't use it often. He rarely uses his own power unless he's doing the portal thing. And A was like, that's really, really, really not helping. If he's that strong without using the Nine Tails power, imagine how strong he is when he's using it. And Naruto, in like, keep in mind they're in the Cloud Village, and Naruto was like, I couldn't have said it better myself. And A turns around and was like, how did you get here? And Naruto was like, oh, it's easy. I just followed B back. And A was like, B, you led him to us? And Naruto was like, did you not just hear what I said? I said I followed him back. He didn't lead me here. Well, technically he did lead me here, but he didn't know because, well, you can't sense my energy inside of a pocket dimension. And A was like, what do you want? And Naruto was like, oh, it's simple, but we can't talk in front of everyone. So Naruto opens up a portal and was like, if you value your village, you would walk through there and you would hear what I have to say. Because I'm sorry, but if you don't, you won't be able to save your village from what's going to happen next. So Naruto and A walks into the portal, and Naruto tells A that there's a specific gem that he is looking for. That if he is correct, came falling out of the sky not too long ago and crash landing somewhere in the Cloud Village. And Naruto needs that because if he doesn't get that gem, his power is going to his Nine Tails chakra is going to revert into what they call magic, or in other words, mana, is going to revert into mana, therefore killing the Nine Tails and disrupting the balance between the tailed beasts because there won't be a Nine Tails anymore. And the Nine Tails is holding on, but it's getting harder and harder for the Nine Tails not to convert his chakra into magic. So if so A asks him and was like, so if I get you this crystal and you're able to harness the nine, that would prevent the Nine Tails from ever escaping, correct? And Naruto was like, yeah, but the only problem is that the sealing process between the Jinchuriki and the Nine Tails will be way more difficult than it will ever end up being. And this is a project between only the leaf and the cloud. Is that clear? And A was like, well, why should I hold the information? Why should I hold this information back if it could benefit my relationship with the other villages? And Naruto was like, because if you tell any other village, I promise you that I will set your village ablaze. And which really aggravates A, but he can't necessarily just say no because, well, if he does, Naruto's basically gonna self-destruct. So they leave the thing, and B was like, "Hey, what did he say?" And A just tells B um to tell some people to start mining, to start searching for some weird crystal or gem, to be more precise. And A B was like, sure. So he tells a bunch of people to start looking around for this crystal, and B comes back like I'm gonna say a week and a half later, telling A that they found the crystal, and A smiles and was like, this should be good. And this is where I'm in this part off. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. Anyway, this has been Shinobi, and peace.